As you know, with diminished chords, they can be looked at from 4 different ways and it would still be the same chord. B diminished. If you move it up a flat third, a minor third, that can still technically be a B diminished chord. Although in this case, if we have the root as D, I'll probably call it a D diminished chord. And its related dominant chord would, as a result, be a D flat 7 chord. In the grand scheme of things, if we zoom out and look at Donna as being in the A flat key, that would be our 4 chord as a dominant. So kind of thinking like a blues. And let's see how this sounds if I was to think of the B diminished chord as a D flat 7 chord. I would say this gives a cool sound leading into the C minor, F7, and so on, the 3, 6, 2, 5, because it goes 4, so then it leads pretty well into the 3, which is just a chromatic below. Other than that, I probably wouldn't think, usually in this context, I wouldn't really think D diminished. The next chord up would be F diminished. That's pretty perfect, I think, because most of the time we're in F minor at that point in the tune. Thinking or playing F minor and then suddenly changing to F diminished can really help your lines be more consistent and make it flow a bit more, rather than if you have to start on the root F minor and then go to B diminished. You can probably do less of a jump and just go right. It's more continuous that way. And let's hear how that sounds. Thinking of the B diminished as just an F diminished, just for the sake of making it more relevant to the chords that come behind or after. In this case, behind. And finally, from the F diminished, we've got an A flat diminished before coming back to our original B diminished. So A flat diminished in the key of A flat is just a tonic diminished chord, just the one chord becoming a diminished. That's quite often. You can find that in other standards. And in fact, it would be better to apply this in, for example, a blues. If we're in F blues, the 5th bar, 4 chord will be B flat, and then it goes B diminished, and then back to the F, right? Well, in this case, the B diminished, we can think of it as actually just being the F diminished. So what I'm saying is, if you are to think of it as a tonic diminished, it's much easier if the diminished chord goes right into a tonic chord so that the lines can resolve straight away. In this case, in the Donna case, I wouldn't think of it as the A flat diminished because there's still quite a while before we get back to the actual tonic major. There's all that 3, 6, 2, 5. So there's 2 bars gap. And let's hear how that sounds. that's it for today. Let me know if you've got any comments about this, and if it's helped you think a little bit more about diminished chords and the harmony behind some of these standards, then let me know. I'd love to get in touch. And stay tuned for the next video. Cheers.